Hi everyone. So if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll know that over the next couple of weeks I'll be posting up tips on how to improve your communication with people. Top tip number 2 went up this week, and that was all about staying curious in your conversations instead of getting stuck in an attack and defend loop. What do I mean by that? Well, if we imagine a scenario like a daughter putting on some makeup, ready to go out, and their mum says, "Oh, you cake that stuff on." We're going to hear that as an attack, aren't we? And our response might be a defense. So we might end up saying, "Oh, it's none of your business what I put on my face." And then that might actually escalate into an argument, and the two people might become quite sort of angry with each other, resentful of each other, and may end up not talking to one another and feeling a little bit unloved. So how can we actually have that conversation a different way? Well, to be curious, we have to be willing to listen. And that really is the linchpin of this. If you're not going to react in a defensive way, then you have to be willing to ask a few questions. Curiosity is all about asking questions, and it's being curious about what the feeling and the need is behind what that person's saying. So if you think again about the scenario of a mother commenting on a daughter's makeup, one way that their daughter could actually avoid the attack and defend loop and be curious is by saying something like, "Oh, I'm curious, out of the makeup I have on, I'm wondering what you would use and why." And that might end up in a response like, "Oh, well, you don't need all that red lipstick on your lips for a start because you've got lovely lips as it is." So actually, when you start to kind of be curious about where someone is coming from in what they're saying, you might really find that they weren't attacking you at all. They were trying to compliment you. It might have been the feeling behind what that person was saying was actually a little bit of concern that that young lady wouldn't have found herself attractive. Another way of approaching it might be something like, you're caking on that makeup, and the answer could be, or the question, sorry, that could be something like, "Oh, Mum, I'm interested. Did you wear a lot of makeup when you were young?" And then you're actually kind of engaging them in a conversation about maybe how their or why their viewpoints differ from yours in terms of makeup use, especially if your mum grew up in a time when makeup just wasn't that readily available, or it might even have reminded them that when they were young, they did actually wear probably similar amounts, but maybe in a different way. So you're actually starting to kind of pick up on that fact that people have different ideas because of the different times that they grew up. So being curious about where people are coming from will mean that you actually end up being empathetic, and you'll end up reframing something that might have sounded like an attack in the first instance as actually sort of I'm interested in where your idea comes from. I'm interested in what your feelings are behind what you've just said. So my tip for you this week is to stay curious. If your initial reaction is to defend yourself, count up to 5. Think about a question you could ask that actually gets behind what the feeling or the thought is behind that, and then ask it. Okay, so stay curious this week. Cheerio.